welcome you to the West Coast Conference this week. We are brought to you by Geico, and we come to you today on a beautiful day in San Diego, California. We are at the Jenny Craig Pavilion here on the campus of USD Pacific, making a house call on the hometown San Diego Toreros. And hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, my partner John Crispin. And John, what we're looking at here today is a San Diego team that comes in here on a roll. They won up at Portland, and they just killed St. Mary's the other night. And Pacific, on the other hand, comes in there kind of licking their wounds a little bit.
Yeah, well, you have a USD team who had very high expectations this season. And Pacific, while you say they're licking their wounds, they are on the verge. They're on the verge of turning things around in this conference. They have yet to get a road win in conference play, and this could be one that they could pull out.
All right, let's take a look at the tail of the tape, see how these two match up with one another. Now, Pacific normally will outscore San Diego, but San Diego, very tough defensively. They held St. Mary's to 38% the other night, 41% field goal percentage on the season, and they're getting it done really on both sides of the floor. And one thing that must be said, this is very much a guard-oriented conference, and we're going to be looking at four pretty good guards today. First of all, for the Pacific Tigers, Sama Taku, guy can take it hard to the basket, and his backcourt mate Andrew Bakken score as well.
Yeah, two guys that can get it done offensively, but really it's going to be what they can do defensively to slow down the USD guards. These two guards in Bach and Taku, they have to get out in transition. They have to attack offensively. That's how they're going to get it done tonight. But as I said, defensively, that's the job that's going to help them stay in this game.
Yeah, and it's not an easy job, and it's not one that anybody has handled easily. And the guy they most have to deal with is going to be Johnny D. He's the player of the week in the West Coast Conference. Great scorer.
Absolutely. And Johnny D's kind of a Kevin Pangos-like guard. He doesn't get enough credit for how good he really is and how hard of a worker he really is. He has to work hard to get shots off every game because he's playing against bigger, stronger, faster defenders. You're going to see him really work to use screens, look to get open shots. And he's really going to have to be patient tonight in terms of taking good shots and not rushing it too early in the game.
And not to mention the fact he's missed one free throw this year.
Yeah, not bad.
Pretty good at the free throw line as well. Well, it's a conference full of outstanding guards. Johnny D amongst the best, but here's what he had to say about his peers in the backcourt.
It's been like that since my freshman year. I remember coming in as a freshman and thinking, wow, some of these guys are really good. Ireland feels like he's been here forever. But, I mean, every night you're going to go up against someone who can, really hurt you on the offense or defensive end. So it's fun to play against great competition like that.
As he mentioned, he was the West Coast Conference Player of the Week, still a junior.
Coaching, and incidentally, we went on a 6-week tour of the Orient after my senior season. He fell down and broke his back, was put in a head neck to ankle cast, and that's why he left coaching at USF. He surfaced here and took the job about 3 years later here. I was just finishing up school at USF, graduate school, and I came down with him in May of 1962, and I'm still here.
Well, JC, you talk about the experience of being able to go down foreign countries, competing together as a team. So many colleges do that these days. Every 4 years you see colleges traveling to the Orient. They end up in Europe. What is that experience like in terms of building a team?
Well, our trip was a little bit different. We had played LaSalle University from Mexico City up here during the regular season, and their coach invited us to come down that summer. Well, we worked it out through people to people, but we drove from San Diego in 2 cars, 4,500-mile trip down and back, and we were supposed to be playing for 50% of the gate along the way. No cell phones, no GPS, none of us spoke Spanish. So we ended up on Obregon, no game because they didn't know when we were coming. We were coming, but they didn't know when. We went to Mazatlan, and we finally played there. We ended up playing 11 games in 13 days in and around Mexico City with 8 players, including the Mexican Olympic team there, because the Olympics were in Mexico City in 1968. Wow. So it was a little bit different trip than what they're doing these days.
I guess, JC, great legacy for you here at the University of San Diego. I know we'll see you 10, 15 years down the road. Thanks very much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
He's driving the bus now, and ironically, his old coach Phil Wolpert wound up driving a school bus up in Washington. We're coming back to the studio, and we get back. Kelly Tennant, Dave Miller, going to tell you all about this day in the WCC.
Welcome back to the Geico WCC This Week in Los Angeles. I'm Kelly Tennant alongside the coach, Dave Miller.
What's going on, Kel?
Hi, Coach. Good to see you. All right, let's get right to the conference highlights from earlier this week. Kevin Pangos and the Gonzaga Bulldogs 8-1 in the WCC. Santa Clara on a 4-game losing streak. Second half, Jared Brownridge, nice crossover, takes it all the way for the layup.
That's my leader for the newcomer of the year. I love that freshman.
A few minutes later, Gerard Coleman with a layup of his own, Coach.
Great athleticism. He's long, athletic, and can finish at the rim.
A minute later, Bulldogs again. Kevin Pangos finds Gary Bell Jr., who hits the 3.
Ring my bell.
An 11-0 Bulldogs run. Santa Clara won't go away, though. Evan Rockamore knocks down a 3.
Fat Joe's proud. Do the rock away, Evan.
Next Broncos possession. Under a minute left, still down 1. Junior Brandon Clark with the tough shot. Gets the shooter's bounce.
I love the side pick and roll action. Here he comes on the dribble drive. Takes it right at Karnowski. He tells him, I've got the Bronco touch.
I've got it. Now Gonzaga's next possession. Under 10 seconds left. Kyle Dranginis finds Sam Dower, who drains the 3.
I love the screen action. We're going to watch right here. The pick and pop. Don't stop. He gets his feet set. The lefty nails it dead center.
Bulldogs lead by 2. Now Broncos, one last chance. Inbounds pass goes to Brownridge, who shoots from half court. No good. Gonzaga Bulldogs celebrating. They win 54-52. Coach, you get Sam Dower, Gary Bell Jr. back. You win on the road. How good can this Gonzaga team be?
Well, this team is really good. They're not as good as they were last year when they were a #1 seed. But when you look at the balance, they can score on the perimeter. They can score on the outside. But I think this team will eventually become a 6 or 7 seed when you look at the athleticism they got in the 2 transfers with Coleman and Nunez. I think they have a date with the Sweet 16, and then coaching takes over. Anything can happen.
That's going to be a nice date. All right, let's take a look at some more highlights from around the WCC. Gales on a 4-game win streak since Coach Bennett returned from suspension. First half, San Diego up 1. Gito Koch with the lob to Dennis Kramer for the dunk.
Love the nice 4-5 interaction with the high-low.
Later in the first, Johnny D with the contested 3. As the shot clock winds down, they extend the lead to 9. First half coming to an end. San Diego still up 9. Kramer goes to the paint for 2. San Diego up by 11.
Love the great footwork by Kramer inside.
Second half, Torreira's up 15, out in transition. D to Chris Sarba, who gets hammered on the layup by a St. Mary's defender, but it goes. San Diego goes on to upset St. Mary's 61-43. All right, BYU hosting Pacific. Series is tied at 3. BYU is 5-4 in WCC play. First half, BYU up 3. Carlino finds Tyler Haas. He knocks down the 3.
Carlino knows how to get an assist, find the leading scorer in the WCC.
Later in the first half, Haas catch and shoot, hits the 3-pointer. BYU led by 11 at the half. Second half, Matt Carlino misses the 3-pointer, but Haas is there with the rebound. He hits the jumper.
Right place, right time. Shooters do it well.
Later in the second half, Carlino kicks it out to Haas. He knocks down the 3.
Are you finding a common theme? They're finding number 3.
He loves Haas. All right, Carlino with a nice behind-the-back pass to Haas for the finish. BYU wins 88-78. All right, Cole Dickerson and the Dons looking for a 3rd straight conference win. Portland and San Francisco going head-to-head. First half, Dons up 10. Mark Tollefson hits a 3, Coach.
Love the pick and pop. The ball draws 2. That leaves 1 open.
San Francisco up early. Now later in the half, Portland down 15. Alec Wintering with a 3 of his own.
But his shots, it's hot, like summer.
Hot. Under 2 minutes left. Cruz Pinkins to Dickerson for the lay-in.
You gotta love the give and go. Move with the purpose. You'll be rewarded.
Dickerson with a game-high 21 points. Second half, Pilots on a run. In transition, Winterling finds Thomas Vandermars underneath for the bucket and foul.
Someone's got to tell Pinkins, quit playing leapfrog.
Pilots cut the lead to 6. Matt Glover driving, finds Pickering for the bucket and foul. San Francisco wins 84-71. All right, here's what the conference standings look like. Gonzaga now with a 2-game lead. St. Mary's loss dropped them to 3rd place for now, tied in the loss column with San Francisco. BYU stopped the bleeding and moved to 6-4 with the win over Pacific after losing their 2 previous games. All right, Coach, we're just past the halfway point in the WCC. We just had the Grammys. I know you've walked the red carpet, strutted your stuff. Now it's time for our first annual WCC Awards season. So we're going to go ahead and start out Player of the Year mid-year.
I've got to go with the kid from BYU, Tyler Haas. He leads the league in scoring. He dropped a career-high 48 points at Portland, the most by a WCC player since 1990. He can catch and shoot from 3. He can put it on the floor. He's constantly moving within the flow of the offense. He scored 25 or more points 8 times this season and is 4th nationally amongst Division I scorers. He certainly can knock it down.
All right, what about your surprise team?
Well, it's got to be San Francisco. This team is 7-3 in league play. Cole Dickerson leads the Dons in scoring, an inside-out threat. Then when you look inside, Matt Glover, he's chiseled a beast. He really competes. And last but not least, junior forward Cruz Pinkins is averaging 12 points and 6 rebounds. Plus their little guard, Avery Holmes, he's growing on me.
All right, Coach. Coach of the Year, who you got?
It's got to be Rex Walters. When you think back to November, his starting point guard, Cody Doolin, quit the team. I mean, what coach could even venture going into the season with his best player quitting? He's been able to take this team, mold them, and it starts with defense and Rex's fiery personality. I love what he's doing with this squad, the biggest surprise of the WCC.
Why am I not surprised you like a fiery personality? Shocking. All right, let's move over to today's games. Coach, what's your game to watch?
I think you've got to go with St. Mary's at BYU. And for St. Mary's to have a chance, Waldow is going to have to be big in the paint. They're going to have to find him and put a body on him. One-on-one in the post, he uses his strength. This is going to be a test for Eric Mika and Nate Austin of BYU. They're going to have to keep a body on him, locate him at all times. I think BYU wins this game by double digits because, remember, it's at BYU. They make shots. They play extremely fast. They lead the conference in scoring. Waldo is going to have to stop the bleeding, but BYU wins.
Home court advantage, baby. All right, coming up, we'll bring you the story of a Pacific player whose talent reaches far beyond the court as he works toward his goal of becoming a doctor. The WCC Player of the Week is San Diego's Johnny D. The junior guard averaged 23.5 points per game as the Toreros won at Portland and barely lost to Gonzaga. D shot 75% in those two games, including all 7 three-pointers he attempted. You often hear the words doctor and athlete in the same sentence. Usually it's the doctor treating the athlete, but in the case of Pacific's Tony Gill, he hopes the sentence will read the athlete becomes a doctor. After the senior power forward hangs up his jersey, he plans on putting on a white coat. Amanda Blackwell has the story.
Growing up, Tony Gill had 2 dreams. The first was to be a Division I basketball player. Well, check that one off the list. Gill is now a forward at the University of the Pacific, having a successful senior year.
Swing it back out top of the key to Gill for a 3. Got it. Big shot there by Tony Gill.
Tony is a very skilled post player. I mean, he can really shoot the ball, from 18 to 20 feet. And he's excellent. But he's also a skilled low post player where he's our best low post inside scorer. So he's just a smooth operator.
As for his other dream, chasing it is currently in progress.
That narrowing is referred to as a stenosis.
I just want to become some form of a doctor. I picture myself in the medical field my whole life. I'm a big-time people person. I just love the ability to give back to people and to help people, especially I'm hoping I can work with athletes still, and just to help athletes, because I've been blessed enough to where I've been helped by so many different people and so many different resources. I just want to be and just give back the same way.
A lot of guys come here and say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a dentist, and it changed. But he really does. I mean, he's going to help. He's going to be in the medical field helping somebody somewhere.
Especially as a basketball player, you don't see too many that want to that play sports at this level and they want to be a doctor. So I mean, that's cool.
But it isn't easy. The demands of a college athlete are rigorous as it is, and on top of that, Gill has added biology, physics, and physiology classes and labs. A course load that would test just about anyone.
It's physically and emotionally demanding, but I just think it comes down to time management, just prioritizing your time correctly.
Some of them, they just can't pull it off, and either their academics goes down the drain, they switch majors sometimes, or they just find they can't do it, and that hasn't been an issue with Tony. He's not only done it, he's done it well.
There'll be a couple nights where he doesn't get but 1-2 hours of sleep. He gets through it anyway. He gets through the practices, and he does good in the games. I mean, so he does a good job. If anybody can do it, he can do it.
Man, I hope he makes it. I think he'll be a great doctor because of his bedside manner, his personal touch, and he's going to be good at whatever he decides to do.
Today, Gill puts on a basketball jersey almost every day, but someday soon he'll hang up that daily uniform for a new one, the white coat of a doctor.
one of the coaches asked me, he did an interview, and he said, you know, what are your thoughts on this being your last semester? It's kind of an emotional topic just because you worked so hard to get here, and you know it's coming to an end real soon. But I mean, that's why I kind of want to work with athletes, is just give back of everything I've been so blessed to have everything, all the resources and stuff. It's never like I'm going to stop playing basketball, but obviously I need to understand that, you know, life moves on, and you got to take all the memories and stuff you learn from here and all the relationships I've built here, and just carry them on.
For the WCC This Week, I'm Amanda Blackwell.
That was a terrific story. You can catch Tony Gill playing against San Diego after our show. Some other big games in the WCC. Gonzaga travels to play San Francisco at 7 p.m. and St. Mary's taking on BYU at 8 p.m. Oh, and by the way, we'll be at the Loyola Marymount Pepperdine game in Malibu at 3 p.m. with Mr. Chris McGee. I can't wait for that one. All right, game of the week, Pacific against San Diego. Coach, what does Tony Gill bring to that team?
Well, it's experience. He's a senior power forward, and he has the ability to be able to score inside and outside. He's extremely smart. He reads screens. He knows when to curl. He also loves the short corner on his face-up game, and he leads this team in rebounding. Another thing I like is that he'll get out in transition, try and get some easy scores. But after seeing that feature, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody why he plays the game so cerebral. Talk about a smart basketball player. He is going to make a great doctor.
And he only sleeps 1 to 2 hours a night and then performs like that. I don't even understand. All right, so how big of a game is this for San Diego?
Well, this is huge. I think that they've got to go out there and continue that momentum. It's a must-win, quite frankly, if San Diego wants to get in the upper half of the WCC. They won at Portland. They lost by 3 at the Zags and just beat St. Mary's by 18. Bill Greer needs to build on this, continue defending each possession. This is a team that is trending in the right way as we turn the second half of the WCC.
Should be exciting. All right, well, that's it for me and Coach. After the break, we'll get you back out to the Jenny Craig Pavilion in San Diego.
We welcome you back to the West Coast Conference this week. It is presented by Geico, and we come to you today from San Diego. What a beautiful day it is. They may be freezing back at the Super Bowl, but right here, a gorgeous day. Not a great day to be indoors, to be quite honest with you. Pacific visits San Diego. Here's the way the West Coast Conference stands right now. Gonzaga, as is the norm, it seems, 9-1 in the conference, 19-3 overall. How about USF? I mean, they really have been a surprise player, 7th in the conference. I wouldn't be too alarmed, I don't think, about San Diego being 4-6 because, John, they get 5 of their last 7 here at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And San Diego came in with very high expectations, and they've just started to settle in defensively. And that's what's really helped them. But you talk about that San Francisco team, holy smokes. I mean, they're a real competitor. And you've got to think, if they finish in the top 2, they should be an NCAA tournament contender.
I think so. We're just getting started here on the West Coast Conference this week. Today we got a double dip for you. We're going to Malibu from here Well, the weather may be even better than it is here. Pepperdine and Loyola. And this, too, an interesting matchup of teams that are going to be seen in this conference in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, Anthony Ireland, great job in his senior season, putting his team together, kind of putting him on his back, building some young players. Really, Pepperdine, another team, a surprise. A team that's finally starting to get things together in this West Coast Conference that is proving to be very deep.
Yeah, I think the tournament's going to be a lot of fun this year. No question about it. Let's address our game here, Pacific and San Diego. Let's talk about the things maybe not everybody is talking about. Let's talk about the X Factor.
Well, the X Factor for me, starting with Pacific, is the doctor in waiting himself, Tony Gill. This is a guy that's come off the bench from time to time and was an immediate impact as a scorer. And I think the reason why he's the X Factor, we know he can score, is the fact that he's a tough matchup for San Diego. And I'm not sure who San Diego is going to be able to match up with his size and his ability to step out and shoot the jumper.
All right, let's talk about Chris Anderson. He's always a wild card. You know, we know about his scoring, but this little guy can defend.
He can defend, and he's covered the best player for whoever team he's facing, whether that's Pangos or Anthony Ireland at LMU. He gets it done. Despite his size, he is a very physical and aggressive defender. He loves to get up and down the floor. He's going to create scoring opportunities in the fast break in transition by getting steals. And he rebounds very well for a small guy.
All right, very quickly, San Diego on a roll. Pacific, as we said earlier, kind of licking its wounds. Is there a bottom line to this game?
I think the bottom line is if Johnny D shoots well, if Christopher Anderson does what he does well, which is defend, get steals, and create opportunities in the transition game, USD walks away with a win.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun here at the Jenny Craig Pavilion here in San Diego. The hometown Toreros and the visiting Tigers. Should be a good ball game. Two good backcourts. Right now the Toreros are on a roll. That's a wrap for the WCC this week. Tip-off coming up.